Down in the meadow where the wind blows free, in the middle of the field stands a lightning tree. His limbs all torn, the day was born, that she was born in a thunderstorm. Grow, grow the lightning tree, never too late for you and me. All that love. And hello.
Hello.
Sorry,
I think I vaguely recognise that.
Yeah, all right, calm down. Sue just photocopied it off for me so that I could. Do you know, it's very funny, isn't it? This is our dear friend Cindy Kent, and welcome Cindy Kent, MBE, OBE, IDIOT, all of those, and welcome to the show and to the JV community and JV Live in the Steinway room. It's nice to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be with you. And I loved Moonlight Sonata. Can I just say that was beautiful?
It wasn't bad, was it? It was. There were a couple of mistakes, but not bad for an old geezer.
Oh.
And so no, it was just a bit of calm, wasn't it, Cindy? Sometimes
it was, yes.
Sometimes
just what we need, my darling. Just what we need.
Yeah, it is a bit of calm that we need. But I played that tune, Cindy Kent, because those people who, and if you fancy doing this, everybody, go on YouTube, right, and just put Lightning Tree in, and up comes on YouTube the lovely Cindy in the, when was that film, 1960s?
Which one was that? The Follyfoot?
The Follyfoot, yeah.
It was, early 70s. What year did you say? You cheeky so-so. It was early 70s, for goodness sake.
Right. You know, I just, because you're very old and I just didn't know this. I'm very young. I just, I'm just, this is help an old age pensioner day today. So I thought I'd just, give you a ring. Look, I saw the video and you had this lovely long blonde hair, which you still got. I don't know how you've managed to do that.
Some of us keep it.
It's lovely, and you look, two guys with their lovely 70s haircuts, and
yes.
But it was such a great song. It was such a great song, wasn't it? Tell us how.
Shall I tell you how it came to be? A very brief little story because it's quite funny. We used to do a concert every year. When I say we, this is the group The Settlers. I'm not using the royal we. Yeah. We used to do a concert at the Royal Festival Hall, and sitting in the audience on this particular night was the brother of the guy that produced Follyfoot, and he was just sitting there watching us. I don't know how he came to be there, but he was. And we used to do a version of The Rhythm of Life from Sweet Charity, and it was all that kind of thing. Yes. And he listened and loved it, and he went home and wrote The Lightning Tree and said to his brother, I've written the signature tune for you, and I know the group who are going to do it. And we got this call to go into the studio and do it, and it was absolutely amazing because we thought, well, that's it. You do it, and it's a sick tune. We then went off and did gigs all over the place, and we suddenly got a telegram, if you remember those things from way back, from our agent saying, it's just entered the charts, we better learn it. And we'd all completely forgotten about it. So it was a case of scrambling around all the guitar cases and everything else to find the words and find the music and learn it. But, it's amazing, Jonathan, how many people remember it. I'm seeing some of the comments going up now. People still remember it this far away from when it really happened. It was a great series.
It's a long time. But in fact, actually, you think back to our childhood, we remember, if I did a kind of a straw poll when I went... I do this thing in my show normally when I'm out on the road, and I do a thing about adverts, and I go, opal fruits made to make water. Exactly. And when you do a Mars a day
helps you work, rest, and play.
Right. These are banged into us. They are stuck into us. And when we watched terrestrial television, because all we could watch was BBC or ITV, that was all there was. And my parents wouldn't allow us to watch ITV. Were you on? Was Follyfoot ITV or BBC?
It was on ITV.
ITV, and we weren't allowed to watch ITV. It was considered, Well, we watched BBC. That was the thing.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Exactly. And but when you only had 2 channels to watch, everybody watched it. Therefore, the childhood of people and Follyfoot became. Standard watching. Everybody watched it and they listened to the tune, and that tune that you recorded became, all that very swingly singers thing that you were doing became so much a part of it. How many years did you sing that then?
Well, we only did it because the group broke up in '73, so we probably only did it for sort of the best part of 3 years, I guess. But it was the one song that people requested and loved and really enjoyed. And as I say, I'm amazed that people still know it now, and most people can sing it. The only trouble was it was a really hard song to learn. You'll probably relate to this, Jonathan. Every verse began with the same words.
Yes.
Down in the meadow where,
Yes.
and then something or other happened. Yeah. And so you had to try to remember what verse you were on. So it was not the easiest of songs to sing. But when I do the odd solo gig now, I still actually do it.
Do you really?
The audience to do it, yeah, and they love singing it. It's just one of those things. It's amazing.
Well, I think actually, it's a very folky. It's a folk song, effectively, and you can join in the chorus. It's a bit like Ralph McTell, that kind of that vibe, where you can just join in. What was the streets of London? Let me take you by the hand. I'll lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind. And it's that thing that people love to sing. And the community,
very much so.
This community loves to sing. I know, we're doing a song in a second. We do it. We've done 28 shows now, and everybody sings it. They join in. They're now going to have a chance to sing on the album, on the new Lockdown album, where about 100 people have signed up for this. Because
can I join in?
Sorry?
Can I join it?
Yeah, you join it. You can join. Yes, you can join.
Thank you.
All you got to do is send in. That'd be nice, actually. I'll send you the link, and
thank you.
All you got to do is record it at home. How are you at
really?
technology?
Good. Sounds good.
How are you at technology?
I can do it. Actually, I've done it once because they got into a little company or a little school somewhere, got in touch and did a very similar thing with the Lightning Tree. And the school sang it and they wanted me to join in. So I had to put it together here in my home and send it off to them. And I'm waiting to see the finished product with all of us singing it together. But so, yeah, I think I can probably cope with it.
Right, in which case you can. Now, the thing is, there's so much to talk about your life because one of the things I would say is that you've lived a varied and exciting life, haven't you?
It's been really good. God has been very good to me over the years. There's a lot of things happened, but, looking back, I'm amazed. If you'd have told me I'd have done half the things I've done, when I was 18, I'd have gone, that'd be stupid. And yet here I am at 29 or whatever I am. I'm delighted at the things that I've actually done. Yeah, it's been good.
When you left the Settlers, because the Settlers were the kind of band that we were allowed to listen to. We were a strict Plymouth Brethren home, the back when I came. And we were allowed to listen to the Seekers and the Settlers. Those were in the same kind of, thing for us. Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon trout is sweet, but the sweet fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat. Remember all that stuff? And what was the famous one? Anyway, Settlers.
Peter, Paul and Mary did that, didn't they?
Yes, Peter, Paul and Mary. And we loved all that stuff, and we loved what you did. And what did you do after 73? You let the band break up. Why did they break up?
Well, I guess it was, things are on their course, don't they? And we were together for 11 years, and it was hard work actually travelling. Well, you know what it's like. It was hard work travelling to gigs and going around, and I'd not long got married. I guess I didn't want to be on the road that much. And anyway, it seemed a natural thing at that point to actually leave. And I was so blessed because I had this urge to get into radio. I love the wireless, as I call it. I love it. And we were so fortunate in the gigs that we did. We were on the radio such a lot. In fact, we were on so often. Most people used to reckon they could pick us up on their electric razors. But I'm not sure about that. But we were very fortunate to do a lot of radio work, and I loved it. And I got to know David Winter, who was the producer of the Sunday programme. He and I went to the same church. And so did another guy, actually, a guy called Cliff. Hang on, it'll come back to me what his surname is. He was a pop singer. Cliff somebody. Cliff, it'll come back to me. Anyway, we all went to the same church. And David was the producer of the Sunday programme. And he said, well, look, come on the programme and review new pop gospel albums that are out. Yes. So it was a nice bridge between talking about something I knew about, but getting into this thing called radio. And he used to throw scripts back at me and say, no, you could do better than that. And it was a great way to learn. Radio 4, is a good starting place. Yes. And so I moved into radio, then I did Radio 2, then I did Radio 1, and then I moved into commercial radio, and the rest, as they say, is history.
And did you, I'm going to sing a song now, but did you like this medium more than television?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, some precocious child once said the pictures are better on radio. Yes. And I think that's absolutely true. I mean, you can actually create a world with words. If I said to you, imagine a sea of yellow custard and a pink blancmange island in the middle with a little red jelly tower, you can see that. On television, you'd have to kind of paint it and do a whole set and everything. But words are just amazing. You can create this little world, I think, with words. So personally, for me, radio does it every time.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Also, I've got a good face for radio, I think.
Yeah, well, hey, that's my line for sure. Now, look, we'll sing a song and join in quietly on the other end, and then because I think you know this one, but it's the old Carole King, James Taylory song, and we've got a beautiful version of this recorded now.
Great. So my favourite artist, Carole King. I've worn out my Tapestry album, I have to admit.
Well, I always say this is my claim to fame. The bass player on my Nashville album, just in the last 4 years, he played on that album, and he said what was great about the album was that they did it as a demo, and it never got past the demo. It went straight to the record. So they did it as a dem, and then it ended up being the finished product. What you hear today is just a beautiful thing. And it just actually, for this community, Cindy, and for the community that you have spoken to for years, you know, you became a friend on the radio. That's what it is, isn't it, really, a way?
Yeah.
And that's what we attempt to do with these Facebook shows, is we try to create a very relaxed atmosphere. There's nothing, I have no idea really what I'm going to do until I do it, and then you do it, and then you see what happens, and people like it or don't like it. They turn on or they turn off, and you hope that more people turn on than turn off. Anyway, it's such a great song. I missed out the middle section deliberately tonight, but ain't it good to know that you've got
a friend?
When Pete I'm going to do it, and you sing. You ready?
Great track, great song. I mean, it's a brilliant number, isn't it? And right for what you guys are doing.
Outstanding. And actually, we've recorded it, and it's huge already, and it's real Tamala Motown feeling that we've got to it. Mark Edwards, the assistant producer, he's really done us proud on the whole album. It's outstanding, actually. Anyway, let's talk. We'll talk about that a bit later. I just want to dig down a bit deeper to you, Cindy, because you finished doing. You had children. You had a child. Did you have how many did you have? 1, 2, 3.
Just one. Yeah, his name's James.
He's a singer,
he's got a great voice. He's got a wonderful tenor voice.
He certainly has.
Very well, not exactly operatic, but a tenor voice. He's a choir leader at his local church in North London, and he sings beautifully. We've done a few duets together on stage, which was lovely.
That's lovely. It's lovely when you do that with your boys and with your children. It's something very special. Mine came and did backing vocals on this album, which was it's just absolutely magnificent. Seeing them in the studio redoing, and it's something very special when your children want to do it, when they want to do music, isn't it? I just want to talk about you've left the Settlers, and what do you do then? You've got a family. What happens? You go into radio.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Did you kind of just keep building that? Did you want to kind of just end your life doing that, or was there something else you wanted to do?
Well, I don't know. At that stage, I was very happy doing what I was doing in radio. I moved in, as I said, I did 4, 2, 1, and then I did commercial radio, which is Radio Hallam, LBC, Capital Radio. Couldn't keep a job, really. Moved around, which was great. I also trained people in the art of media skills, which was really good. I really enjoyed doing that. And then I met up with a lady who'd become a deaconess in the Church of England, and I really didn't know what that meant, and I had a long conversation with her. And I suddenly woke up one morning, sometime later, and just thought, I think I want to be a deaconess. And it was just one of those things that I could only think it was from God. So I went to my local bishop, which is what you do, and he kind of said, it was just a matter of time. I was expecting this, and I thought, well, I wasn't. Anyway, I went off for, you have to go for this interview, which lasts for 3 days, and it's purgatory, Jonathan. It's awful. They really grill you. I mean, I suppose that's fair enough. They have to, don't they? But nobody had warned me about some of the things we had to do, whereas everybody else had kind of been put through their paces, and they'd had rehearsals of writing this particular letter you have to write, and they used me to start off the discussions and everything. And I mean, it was a nightmare. Anyway, the area of London I was living in at the time, Edmonton, was very, very anti-women priests. And this is when I first went the first time. They were very against the idea of it. It hadn't gone through, but they were very against the idea. So the bishop, who sort of saw me, didn't help at all. Anyway, I got back, and they sent a letter. The bishop called me and read this long letter where they said, "Oh, we liked your communication skills, and we thought you were this and that, but we don't think you've got a vocation." And well, that's the one thing you can't really argue with. You know what I mean? You can't sort of say, "Well, I think I have." Now, anywhere else, a bishop, knowing me the way they did, might well have pushed it to change it, but they didn't. So I went away feeling very disheartened and thinking, I've obviously not heard what God's saying. You know, I got it wrong. And it took a long time to really get my confidence back and start thinking about it, for quite a few years. And then I was taking part in a communion service in a tiny little chapel. There were about 6 of us there. And as the priest, lifted the chalice and the paten, the bread and the wine up, and I just suddenly started crying, and I thought, that's actually what I want to do. Yeah, that is what I want to do. And so I went back, and I went for another set, and this time I got through. So I'm now an Anglican priest. And so it was great, but I was in an area where they didn't really like the idea of women priests, and so it was a case of, where am I going to go? There was one church in the area that would take a woman priest, and that was the St John the Apostle Church in Whetstone in North London, and I spent 6 lovely years there as a priest in charge. Didn't get paid, but it was a lovely time. We doubled the congregation, we built up the Sunday school, we had a great time, and I left there 4 years ago and semi-retired to Kent. Well, it's my name, isn't it? So I thought it was a good place to go to.
Yeah,
I wouldn't forget where I lived, you know, with the same name.
I mean, that is quite a journey. I'm going to ask you a difficult question, because I think actually the people out there, some are, and some would be quite conservative about this, about women in ministry. I grew up in a place where actually women in ministry was forbidden, and I know that certainly there'll be people go, well, it's, you know, women should, I suffer a woman not to teach, they give verses and the Bible. And how do you get over the opposition that so many people have, so many areas have, to female priests, bishops? In fact, I would say female leadership in general.
Yeah, well, it's getting better, I have to say, Jonathan. That is, the great thing is, 25 years on from the first woman priest in the Anglican Church, it is getting better. But there are still pockets of resistance. I mean, here, I live on the Isle of Sheppey. There is one woman in particular who won't come to the communion service if I'm taking it. She'll only do it if it's a man. There's another guy who wouldn't come and share the sanctuary with me to do it because he didn't think I should be a priest. Gradually, people are dying out, and I've now taken communion service in 2 little churches here on the island that have never had a woman do it before. And do you know what? The roof didn't fall in. It really is quite amazing. But I think people really are starting to realise that actually we are created equal in God's sight. And that's the message I would want to say is, you know, okay, we are created different, of course we are, and we've got different skills and different gifts, and we're meant to complement each other. But in God's sight, we are all equal. And if God calls you, he sustains you, and he gives you the courage to get through what you have to do. I've heard of some terrible stories of my fellow women priests where they've been told the wrong time for a meeting, so they arrive late. They've been told the wrong place, so they turn up at the wrong place. I mean, you really wouldn't believe it in the church, would you?
I think I absolutely would. And
we would, okay, yeah. But it's so sad, isn't it, that we are like that? And, you know, even in this day, the mistake I think my church made was the saying, when the rule went through that we would have women priests, was, well, but it's all right, we'll still allow you to have your views and carry on. We should have, you know, cut off the point there, because now we're still ordaining people with those views, and there will forever be the schism. But we are learning, I guess, to live with it. We are getting along with each other and trying to do our best. I've got a very, very good friend who's a priest in Chichester who absolutely does not agree with the fact that, but we get on like a house on fire. We pray together, we work together, we've done things, we've made radio programs together, and we're fine. But, you know, he has his view, and I've got mine, and I guess God's got his as well.
I think actually, and there's the thing. I I think centuries of patriarchy have led to where we are today. And actually, I think what I've witnessed in you is a strong woman with direction, with a purpose, with a ministry, with a calling. And I have to be honest, Cindy, in telling you that when I was growing up, I actually was completely convinced that women in leadership was not because it wasn't done, and particularly within the nonconformist church. There are not a huge amount of people in the nonconformists. In Baptist ministry, for example, there are not that many women. It's generally men that run the thing, and men who are in the diaconate, men who control the steering committee, men who do this. And actually, I'm going to put this to you. What I want is I don't want a woman top-heavy thing in the same way that we had a man top-heavy thing. I would like it to be that a balanced view of what leadership is, so that we have a woman's view, a man's view, and we can exist together in the same room and do and share ministry. And that's
absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. As I said, we've all got our own gifts. I mean, there are some people in the church, my own church that I had, that would talk to me because I was a woman, and this was men as well as women. And there are some, I'm sure, that wouldn't talk to me because I was a woman, so they seek out a man. But isn't that great? We've all got our own gifts, and God has given us these gifts to share and to use for his glory. And so he provides people when we need them. And I just think you're quite right. You know, let's just get on with it. We're there to spread the news, the good news, the gospel, that God loves you, no matter what you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. You know, people say, oh, if you knew what I'd done, Cindy, you wouldn't tell me God loves me. And I always say, well, think about David. What did David do? He spotted a beautiful woman, and he sent her husband to war, knowing he'd get killed, just so he could, pardon the expression, get his leg over. Now, I mean, you know, what did God then do with David? He did the most amazing things because David repented. Nothing is outside of God's love. You know, if we say sorry for whatever we've done, God's going to forgive us. Do you know why? Because he promised he would, and he's faithful, and he doesn't break his promise. So there's nothing you can do today to make God love you more, and there's nothing you can do today to make God love you less.
Isn't that beautiful? And in fact, that's why I had you on here, because you are you're a natural evangelist. You tell it as it is. You tell people as it is, as you experience it. And there are people on here who have no faith at all, and you know that's what we have on this show. You are welcome, whoever you are, with faith, no faith, different faith. You are welcome into this room, into this JV Steinway room. But this is what we do. We share our faith, and we're not reticent to do so. Not you as a woman, priest, and not me as a man going out and doing his thing as a singer. And I've seen it in you, Cindy, time and time again. You were, listen, oh goodness, we could talk for hours, you know, right? And what I wanted to talk about, just steer slightly into other areas, which is the last area, which is, can we have a picture up, please, Rachel, of a certain person at a garden party, I think receiving, is that the picture that's up now? I can't see. Have you receiving her a gong?
A gong, yes. Well, yes, it's a picture of me with it, not actually received. I could have sent you one of Prince William giving it to me, but I was delighted to be awarded 4 years ago an MBE, and I know somebody else you were talking to earlier on got a medal, an Empire Medal. I mean, it is an amazing accolade to be chosen, and it was for services to religious broadcasting, which I guess I've been doing since 1973, which is quite a long time. But it was lovely to be recognised and to be honoured at Buckingham Palace. I mean, my Facebook picture is of my son and myself outside Buckingham Palace, and I mean, he's just looking on so adoringly. He was thrilled to bits. He was, you know, he was just amazed and thrilled and very proud of me, and still is. And it was just a great honour to go to the palace and get it, and you know, you have to keep pinching yourself and telling yourself it was for real. And it was great. It was lovely. And you know, congratulations to anybody else that's watching or listening that's received anything, because it is a great honour to have been chosen, and it's just a wonderful feeling.
And when you received it, because you had to keep quiet about it for months, didn't you?
Well, I knew about it, I heard the lady earlier on, saying, she'd known for 4 months. I knew for about 5 or 6 months. And it was one of the hardest secrets to keep. I didn't tell my son. The only person I did tell, and I shouldn't have done, but the lady who I thought, when I got the letter saying, you've got it, and I thought, I had a feeling I knew who it was that had nominated him. He was a very, very dear friend who I'd known from the 60s, and we were great, great friends, and I had a feeling it was her, and she'd just been diagnosed with throat cancer, and I knew she was really ill, and she probably hadn't got very long. So I did break the rule, and I rang her up and told her, and she was absolutely thrilled. Sadly, she didn't make it. She didn't stay alive long enough to come to the palace with me, which was a shame. But I just felt, I don't think the palace would mind me breaking this rule, because she didn't tell anybody. But I didn't tell my son, I didn't tell my friends, I didn't tell anybody. And it's got to be the hardest 4 or 5 months of my life, because anything like that came up in the conversation. I was dying to say, oh, by the way, and I didn't. But it was a lovely feeling to save it right to the last minute and then announce it to everybody. It was good.
It's a very Sue will note, when I got an award, honorary masters from Cheshire University, and it was a big thing. It was a major thing, and they, you're presented as a graduate, and you have to give a speech. You're accepted into the faculty and all that kind of stuff. And I wept on the day. I was absolutely just completely bowled over that they'd asked for me. It's that, isn't it? It's that thing where when you get the award, when you hear that you've got it, you think, really?
Yes.
Because you do what you've done, Cindy, is what you've done. You've treated your life as normal. This is normal. This is what you do. This is how you help people.
Actually, all the way, even at the palace, I thought somebody was going to come and tap me on the shoulder and say, "What do you think you're doing here? Why are you here?"
Just finally, and in these difficult days, I know that you posted earlier in the lockdown how difficult it was when you were effectively locked out of your church and things like that. Where are you on this whole thing now? How are you feeling with ministry? How are you getting on with the church that you're at?
Well, I'm kind of coming to terms with it. I'm hating it because I live on my own and I'm a people person. I don't do solitude. And the one thing I'm missing is touch. And it suddenly occurred to me the other day, we've got these 5 senses. And although I don't want to ever lose any of my senses, but if I went blind, I can picture in my head what my son looks like, what you look like, whatever. If I go deaf, I can picture in my head and listen and remember the sounds of you. I know what the smell of bacon frying smells like. So if I lost my smell, if I lost my taste, again, I can remember that. But touch is the one sense you can't replicate. And that is the one thing I'm missing, because I'm a hugger. And I just love hugging people when we pass the peace in church. And at any given time, I'll hug people at the drop of a hat. And that is what I'm missing most of all. And it worries me what it's doing to me and to lots of other people who live on their own. I think time will tell that it's going to have had a bad effect on quite a few people who are on their own, that this is going to be a lasting thing. But I'm trying very hard to get out every day and go for walks and see people, and I'm busy. I take a service in the middle of the week, I take a service on a Sunday. I'm doing things a lot just to overcome this fact that I am on my own and life just is not normal at the moment. So bless you. And I know you did say you would pray for me when I kind of talked to you about this, so thank you. And a lot of people have, and it's helped me enormously.
And I think when we do pray for you and we add you in the community to our list of people in the JV community, there's a Facebook group. Those of you who want to join, the only rules for joining are that everybody is kind to everybody at all points. If anybody starts to proselytise or try and make to politicise the group, then I'm afraid they will have to be expunged from the group. It is a group where people help each other, pray for each other if necessary, add thoughts. If you're not of faith, then you can give positive thoughts to people and encouragement and write to them. But we will add you, and we'd love to have you in the group just to say we're praying for you and thinking of you, Cindy, in your future life, whatever you're going to be doing. You're a force of nature, and we've just loved having you on. I know that people have really enjoyed seeing you on, and I think we've had some nice comments from people all the way down the line, and I can't see them, but I know that they have been. And so bless you. Until next time, you and I, we meet at the CRE, or we've just done
I
an
think the
interview on that.
exhibition is probably where we'll next meet, yeah. But it's been great being on. And just a last little point, it was interesting. I came in time to hear you do the St. Francis Prayer, which is beautiful. I love that song. This afternoon, I did a pet blessing service. I mean, Vicar of Dibley, eat your heart out. We had loads of people out on the green outside the Abbey, and they all brought their dogs and their cats. There was even a hamster. It was wonderful, and we sang All Things Bright and Beautiful, all the lovely stuff that you do with all that. And it was just the most amazing time to do it. So that's what I've been doing today. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good to be alive. It's good to be able to do lots of different things like you and I are blessed, I think, so much, aren't we?
It's a wonderful world, as I sung it right at the beginning.
It's a wonderful world, yeah.
It's a wonderful world. Bless you, Cindy. I'm going to go and sing another song, and then we're going to go home. Thank you very much for joining us, and the community.
Thanks, Jonathan. Good night, and God bless you. Thanks ever so much.
Bye-bye, darling. Bye-bye.